This is Cold Start.
I can't believe it's Monterey Car Week again.
I know, it seems like it comes and goes so quick now.
I mean, now we'll just talk about next year already, because, okay, it might be still going on technically this year, but it'll be here again real soon.
Yeah, and here at Sonoma Raceway, kind of like kicking off Car Week here up in Sonoma County, not Monterey County, but there's a bunch of exotics that are visiting Sonoma Raceway, doing a little private track day, getting ready for their trip down south. I think it's the Exotics Network is hosting the event, and they're hosting this big drive down across the Golden Gate, down into Monterey. But there's some cool stuff out here on track.
Yeah, we hung out with those guys at COTA when we went to the F1 race last year. They were nice enough to host us in their space right along turn one there, and it was a good time. And they had some cool cars in the background, some of the photos that we saw of them, and they have some neat machinery out on track here today. It's nice to see it getting used.
Yeah, there's some highlights for those that are listening. There's obviously a Bugatti Chiron. There's a Pagani Zonda.
I don't think there's anything obvious about that, man. Holy crap.
Well, yeah, I mean, like heavy hitters of like really interesting stuff. But yeah, there's a Pagani Zonda, which, funny enough, when I was coming into the track today, I was waiting in line at the gate to check in. And all of a sudden I look in my mirror and I was like, oh my God, there's a Pagani Zonda behind me. It's like, oh yeah, that's right, Car Week's here, and there's all this crazy stuff that's out here. There's even some like cool resto mods. So like the Ferrari F355 resto mod.
Oh, nice.
There was two of them out there. There's a very unique kind of custom Porsche out on track as well. So a lot of different stuff. I mean, McLaren P1, there's an Aston Martin Valhalla. I mean, it is Car Week 10 out of 10. The lineup's just absolutely insane outside.
Wow, it's like we can get jaded around here between this and some of the other events that go on, just the kind of machinery we just see used out on the track that we talk about. We say, boy, we wish people who had these cars would actually use them. So it's really nice to see. I mean, nobody out there is doing 10/10ths, but it's a good track day, and they've been on this rally, right? They were driving through California on their way down to Monterey, and this happened to be a stop after Napa Wine Country or something like that.
Yeah, hopefully it's not after wine tasting, getting out on track, but, you know, they're having their good time, and this kind of brings up this conversation of Monterey Car Week Mania. We talk about these cars, and I know I said obviously there's a Bugatti involved in this lineup, and that's the thing is like what Car Week has become like has kind of exponentially grown over the last handful of years. I mean, I remember a time of going back there back in 2018, I think was the first time I ever went to Car Week, and just how massively different it was. And whether that was between the vibe or just the cars that showed up. And I know that the industry in general has changed in regards to supercars and hypercars from 2018 to 2026. But, you know, I think it'd be fun to go back through kind of like some stories. I know that we've gone to Car Week many times in our own personal lives, and in seeing the progression and seeing the different of through the years what we've noticed in regards to changes, maybe tell some funny stories from our adventures out at Car Week, and then kind of closing off on like this bigger discussion of what has happened with Car Week and why has it become such a craziness.
There's definitely been an evolution. And it's one of those things you could say, you know, the eyes through which I'm looking at this thing have changed too, right? What I saw when there were fresh new eyes seeing Car Week for the first time, all excited and unjaded about it. Before there were influencers, oh man, that was such a time. Can you remember even what that was?
Before social media was really a craze and everyone went to Car Week to have a good time and not just to post it on social media?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, this thing has been going on a long time. I didn't realize quite how long. You know, like Pebble Beach, the Concours is kind of the crown jewel event of Car Week. And back when all this started, that was the only event. It was a one-day thing. And it started all the way back in 1950, which is kind of crazy, the Concours d'Elegance. And from that, it's become this 2-week plus carnival, you know, of event after event after event, targeting people that are new money, old money, no money, every aspect of the spectrum, every walk of life relating to cars. There's the racing cars version of this. You can go to the Monterey Motorsports Reunion and go see old vintage cars getting used the way they're intended to. Some fantastic stuff. We did a really good deep dive on that last year. There's the Quail, which is introduction of mostly newish cars, things that haven't yet hit the market or are just getting announced for the first time. Kind of a fancy affair kind of vibe, which was totally different than the kind of stuff that would go on at Cannery Row. And Cannery Row would be these very accessible kind of drive-through car shows even, and you'd see all kinds of stuff, people who are locals bringing out their equipment. It's changed a little bit, though. Like the nature of events has gone from ragtag clubs getting together. Like, I remember it was called the Works Reunion, was something Porsche would put on. And it was just Porsches coming together, and they had their own little small car show. And that was kind of managed by Porsche Club of America. And that's since been overshadowed by so many other larger events like the Quail, like the Concours, but also these private house parties and these larger events, Moto Lux, that have come to exist in the last few years, trying to target an even higher end clientele, bringing more money, more attention, and unfortunately, more of the kind of attention that I think the true car enthusiasts are not going for.
Right. And I think for the listeners, I'm sure everyone's heard of Monterey Car Week, but for those who haven't, kind of giving like a big overview of what occurs in Monterey Bay, the Carmel, Monterey County by and large during Monterey Car Week, it's insane. And I think there's multiple categories like you were talking about of like there's these well-established events which you have to pay to be a part of. So there's a ticket for admission.
Correct.
Those ones are a little bit more controlled and very fancy, and ticket prices can go extremely high.
And a lot of those host auctions. So in addition to the high-end event, they have high-end cars that are going for sale. And so people attending that kind of roam in and out of the event, in and out of the auction.
Yes, and a lot of these events are held at well-established places, golf courses primarily that are around the Monterey Bay Area. And then, there's more of those free admission events like you were talking about of like, random pop-ups that are occurring, whether that's down on Cannery Row or, some of those other free admission events that occur as well. And then there's the motorsport side of it. And then there's just kind of like the general Monterey Car Week vibe, right?
Yeah.
And it's like going to Carmel and just sitting on the side of the street and watching cars go in and out of Carmel. Or you go down 17 Mile Drive, which is a beautiful location in Monterey, right there on the ocean, right there on the water. Pebble Beach is inside of that, some other really, really famous golf courses as well. But that's also like another piece of Monterey Car Week is just going to these gorgeous, beautiful locations and just checking out amazing cars that are driving through it. Now, of course, as time's gone on, the things that are free, right? The things that you don't have to pay for, they're not major events. That's usually where things have gone out of hand.
Yeah, it happens this way with a lot of things. It starts small, it builds a following, and then it goes hockey stick, right? Everybody and their brother is there. We've seen this with Burning Man. We've seen this with Coachella, Lollapalooza. I mean, name an event like this kind of big gathering of people around some cultural or artistic or motorsports kind of thing. It seems like they all kind of go this way. And what's happened is it's made it harder and harder to go and actually appreciate the things that you're there to appreciate because you're getting crowded out by all these sort of like tourists and occasional participants who are there, a lot of whom are there just for their Instagram feed or whatever, influencing that they're trying to do. A lot of this is car spotting. So on one hand, innocently, people who enjoy taking photos of cars, it's a great place to do that because you have this combination of a million really unusual cars on the road that people don't always take out to drive. You have the environment around Carmel, which if you don't know Carmel, California, it's this quaint old village that the biggest, most controversial news coming out of it in the last year is they are adding street addresses to Carmel. Literally, where you are located, you're on the corner of this street and this street. There are no numbers for any of the buildings in downtown Carmel.
Wait, really?
Really. And they're now in the process of going, can we still get away with this? It's like the modern times. We need numbers on our buildings now. And that's what Carmel is. It's very moneyed, very wealthy, little enclave, a little artsy, but also sort of conservative. It's a weird, interesting mix of things. It's a great place to go for the weekend, like with your partner.
Well, still, I can see, like, if that's the way that you're describing Carmel, like this kind of hidden, quiet, well-off neighborhood village. I think as a village is a better way to put it because they're like almost all single-story houses, like, in downtown Carmel, like there's not big homes, right? On 17 Mile Drive, yes, there's those massive mansions that host those big parties like you're talking about. These massive mansions on 17 Mile, like automotive manufacturers rent out to then throw a big party and be like the House of Ferrari or whatever the case is. But Carmel's not that, right? Carmel's not that kind of big and flashy. And so I can totally see now, knowing about all this controversy between Monterey Car Week and Carmel and like Carmel trying to shut a lot of stuff down in regards to Car Week because they're just kind of sick of it. I can see why now that they would have those attitudes, especially if it is 99% of the time through the year, just this quiet town. It isn't this big, rambunctious, it's not a car town by any means.
It's really not. And the car town that it is mostly older classic cars that sort of align with their demographic, let's say. These are golfers, right? These are people who go there to retire for the most part. It's not a nightlife place. It's not a music venue place. It's none of those. It's quaint. It's a village, right? It's a little place. And so everybody coming in there, it's super picturesque. Cars look amazing on this backdrop, just parked on the street and driving through. We get it. You want to take a picture of that. But the throngs of people, the behavior of people crowding into the streets, acting like they're in a theme park when they're on public roads. And the people who live in this place, man, I must imagine they must get out of town for the week or Airbnb out their places just because it's hard to be there as somebody who's participating in the event. And this has changed. You know, it was always a little crowded, but it's gotten to the point where the police presence is palpable. Like they're there all the time. People are constantly on the edge of maybe I'll rev my engine or maybe I won't because there's a cop there waiting. And on one hand, that does manage the behavior, but why should we need it to be that controlled? I mean, people can drive their cars through a part of town without it being an issue most of the time.
Yeah, and I think it's just because, like, the energy builds up so much during Car Week, and, you know, I've never done anything outrageous, but, like, you can feel it. Like, you can feel the whole presence of everyone there. I mean, you really feel like when you go to Monterey Car Week that you're in, like, a Forza lobby. Like, you're in this video game-esque environment because you're just driving around from like event to event on the streets of Monterey. You're seeing cars that are one of whatever in the world. Like it's just cool stuff happening everywhere. And so you can see how people kind of build off this energy and build off the energy of other people, and things can slowly get out of hand. And the other piece of it, of like the worst side of car culture, which is everyone wants attention.
Yes.
Like that is a piece of going to Car Week, is like you want to be the dude driving the car that no one else has.
Look at me.
You get to be seen, right? And if you don't have a car that is worth X amount of money, but you still want to be seen, that leads you to do stupid things, right? And in an environment where there is a lot of people watching, taking photos, taking videos, wanting to see something cool, whether it's a car or someone being an idiot, that prompts people to rev engines, do burnouts, want to do donuts. Like they want to be the viral clip from this year's Car Week.
They want to differentiate. And when all the cars on the road are Lamborghinis, your Lamborghini looks pretty ordinary. So you have to do something like put a crazy wrap on it or drive it in a way that's going to get attention above and beyond all the other Lamborghinis. Talk about a level to try to cross.
Right, and those guys are used to, in their hometown, they're the shit. They're the one dude with a Lamborghini.
You're that guy with the purple Lamborghini.
You show up in Monterey Car Week, you're one of 1,000 purple Lamborghinis, and now all of a sudden you don't know how to act because you're like, I'm being outshone, I'm usually the center of attention.
Yeah, it's this thing that occurs in certain industries and certain environments. They call it imposter syndrome, where suddenly you feel like you're usually the person in the room who has all the knowledge or the presence or the status, and you wind up in a place where all the other people have way more than you, and you just don't know how to manage. Like your whole identity crumbles because you're so used to being the big fish all the time or being the person identified by this thing, and now you're outclassed, outnumbered, outweighed, outclouded, whatever it is, because whatever you have, you're not frickin' Jensen Button, who's right next to you.
Yeah.
You're not the guy from Koenigsegg who's right there selling cars.
Right.
You know, so there's no way that the average human can compete, right? This is a rarefied air for the top 0.1% kind of thing.
And I think when this major shift happened, because like you were saying, Car Weeks existed for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And this whole conversation of like the shenanigans that occur at Car Week and like all of these headlines and videos on social media and this, that, the other, like that wasn't always the case. Like Car Week used to just be chill and everyone went there and they just appreciated everyone's cars, and it wasn't this big blank measuring contest. Like that just didn't happen. And I think when it really shifted was in 2018. And the reason why I'm going to say 2018 was the year that everything changed was because of this infamous thing that occurred on Ocean Avenue in Carmel. And every year previous, Carmel was always just really chill. Cars would drive through Carmel. Everyone would watch. And it wasn't until 2018 that an individual, I'm not even going to highlight who it is because why even give them the attention?
Yeah.
But an individual decided to do donuts in a GT3 RS in the middle of Ocean Avenue for everyone to film and to go viral, basically. Yeah. And that was the first time that anyone had the balls or the lack of common sense to do anything that stupid in Carmel.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, it's kind of been this thing of like, what is going to be the next crazy thing? And I think that video, because it went so viral, started to attract the wrong people to go to Car Week the next year and the year after that and the year after that of like, oh man, this crazy stuff's happening in Carmel and in Monterey. Like, we need to go and we need to be a part of it. We need to see it live.
Right.
And I think this also coincided with like the big upheaval of influencers and social media, but like this was the ultimate kickoff of like someone doing something strictly for attention and then raising that bar of like, okay, this is what we do at Car Week. And ever since then, ever since 2018, there's been huge additions in regards to restrictions. And I think the following year in 2019, Carmel announced that like on certain days after certain times, they would shut down Ocean Avenue.
Yes.
That cars weren't even allowed on it because of the thing that occurred the year previous. And then this has just gone more so. And then this year, for 2026, they announced that 17 Mile Drive was going to have massive restrictions of who was going to be even allowed onto 17 Mile Drive. And I remember last year in 2025, I did drive down 17 Mile Drive, and they had like random chicanes set up on straightaways that forced you to slow down, avoid some cones, and then you could go again. And I was like, I've never seen this before. And it's kind of amazing that like how much they've really locked down Car Week year after year.
It's amazing. 17 Mile Drive has really become sort of the epicenter of this too, because it's right on the coast. It's amazing picture taking, video taking alongside the golf courses, beautiful homes. And it's a nice enclosed area. So for those who don't know, this is a toll road. To get onto 17 Mile Road, you pay, and it's like $8 or $10. I mean, it's an expensive toll, right?
Yep.
And the speed limit's like 20. It's
super slow.
It's a long drive. You're not getting through 17 Mile Drive in 17 minutes, I can tell you that.
Right, and that's not the point of it. It's like you don't do 17 Mile Drive because it's a great driving road.
No.
It's just beautiful.
It's picturesque. You're on the coast. You stop and take pictures. That's the kind of space this is. Well, with a lot of people trying to do that all at once, the road starts getting really crowded. People are pulling over in random locations. It's starting to get a little bit invasive. Now add to that the rollers. So people want to take photographs of cars. They look cool, static, but now they look way, way cooler when they're moving. So now what you have is people hanging out of the back of cars to shoot roller photos of the car behind them, or video, right, of the car that's trailing behind them. And don't get me wrong, the footage looks amazing. We all love it. You know, all these guys want to go out there and be Larry Chen or whatever, but the reality is it's kind of unsafe. And whether or not you want to be like nanny state about it, the police aren't going to let you do it anymore. They started pulling cars over in the last couple of years for people who are hanging out of the back of cars. And I knew a group of guys who had actually the right kind of car with proper protection in the back. And like they went and they willingly got pulled over and made a big video about it because they're like, look, they said it was okay. They gave us the pass and told us it was the right way to do it, and we keep going. But for everybody else who's been doing it, they're mostly doing it the wrong way. Add to that the amount of traffic around these really expensive homes, the people who are actually paying into the tax base that pays the salaries of the people who are doing this enforcement. You could see how that would go. So the fact that they've completely closed it, unless you can prove that you have a reservation at a hotel or reason to be there, you can't even go. And that was a big part of the week. You'd go there and one of your activities was go do 17 Mile Drive.
Yeah, for me, like every time that I've gone to Car Week, which isn't that many times, but driving 17 Mile was probably always my highlight. Like that was just like the coolest thing to go do. It's just so beautiful. It's so picturesque. And like sitting on the side of the road and just watching these cars drive by, and they don't have to be going fast. They don't need to accelerate, but just seeing these beautiful cars on this beautiful coastline, it's things of dreams, of childhood dreams, you know, sitting in your bedroom thinking about these cars and being able to see them in person, in motion like that, not just static at a car show, but moving through a scenery is just something that's always so special. And so like that news for me was kind of probably like the hardest hitting news because I'm like, damn, like 17 Mile is like the best part, in my opinion, of Car Week. And I'm fortunate enough that we live close by to Monterey, and it's like if I really want to drive 17 miles, just choose any other week that isn't Car Week and go do that, right? But for those other people that are traveling out here and coming to Car Week that aren't going to be able to experience that, it's unfortunate, right? I can understand why they have to do it, right? It's a safety concern. People decided to make bad decisions, and there has to be rules put in place because people made those bad decisions. And hanging out of vehicles is never smart. You need to go buy a Volvo station wagon that's got like the jump seats in the back with the seat belts. And then at that point, fine, right? Then you could shoot your rollers and still be legal. But people weren't smart enough to do that. So it is unfortunate. And, I think it'd be fun, not necessarily to talk about, all the restrictions nowadays, but maybe some of those like fun highlights of what we experience Car Week, of like why we enjoy it and maybe why we care so much that these restrictions are getting put into place.
If you don't know, the Central California coast is a really beautiful place. You have the coastline up against these crashing waves, right? It's not the kind of beach you're going to be able to go in because you'll drown. It's just that's the nature of the Pacific Ocean crashing into the coast there. And Pebble Beach, the name comes from the fact that along the beach there, it's not sand. It's these little small pebbles like all over the place. And it actually kind of hurts on your bare feet to walk on. Ask me how I found that out. But it's amazing real estate. There's a reason that these golf courses that are located there, and okay, I am not a golfer, so I don't appreciate the sport in any way, shape, or form, except the venues because they can be quite attractive. In this case, you have Pebble Beach, Spyglass, all these really famous golf courses, to the point I've heard of them, are there because the scenery is breathtaking. You're on the Pacific Ocean, the waves are crashing, it's dramatic, right? And so to be able to drive your car in and around and through this stuff was just such a cool feeling of connecting with the outside and nature, and you're in California and it feels like it, in this place that's so friendly to cars and had been for so long, like the epicenter of car culture in the U.S., and you're enjoying this event where there's these specialty things happening, where there's Concours or the Legends of the Autobahn or the Retro Auto or whatever kind of events you were dipping into to check out. That was part of the experience. And then you go out to a nice dinner, you hang out with your friends and talk about the cool cars you saw. I remember having some good times like that and having some not so good times. One year, I was out there on 17 Mile Drive and I stopped for some photos. And little did I realize, I left my headlights on for the photos, and I had a passive draw on my electrical system that wasn't apparent to me, to the point where the draw of having the headlights on sitting on the side of the road for 20 minutes alone was enough to kill the battery.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there were some gremlins and things that we don't have to talk about here, but it happened to be in the CGT.
I mean, that's like a great Monterey Car Week car, but not a great car to have to leave on 17 Mile Drive.
Right. So there's this really conflicting thing of, you already know you're the guy in that car. Like when you're driving around it, you feel it. Now you're in Car Week where you really feel it because people know what the thing is. It's not just the weird-looking Porsche that's on the road.
Yeah, people are at Car Week to see that car.
They're stopping you for it. Now I'm stuck on the side of the road with it, and I can't move it, and I can't start it, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that. All the while, like half of the automotive press drive by and are taking photos of the CGT on the side of the road because it looks so cool. And I have people trying to help me push start the car, jump start the car, waiting for the tow truck driver to come out. And don't get me wrong, of all the places, of all the times, of all the circumstances to be stuck on the side of the road, this was about as good as it could get.
Yeah.
But that said, kind of a little embarrassing. You're the guy with the car that died on the side of the road and all these people taking your picture while you're trying to get it fixed. And we did get it fixed, but man, what a pain that was.
I can't imagine like the added pressure of like, you're trying to work it out. You're trying to figure something out. You're already sweating a little bit because you're like, damn, like hopefully it's not something like too bad. Right. But now people are like watching, they're taking photos, they're trying to ask questions. Oh, can I help? And it's like, people are being nice. Like car people are really, really nice and genuinely want to help you. But it's like in those moments when everyone's asking you questions, you're like, I'm just trying to figure it out. Like, you want to hide for a little bit. And at Car Week, especially if you're in a nice car, there is no hiding. People are going to find you.
And in that moment when you just want to be on your own, do your thing, and everybody's swarming you, there is no being alone. Everybody's your friend and wants to help, and everybody's a helper, whether they know how to help or not, So it could be way worse than that. I've been stuck in way worse places than that. That wasn't so bad, but it was definitely a memorable time in Monterey.
Yeah. The first couple of years that I went, like I said, the first year that I went was in 2018, and then I went back for 2019. The main show that I went out to for both of those years was Legends of the Autobahn.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like a, predetermined show. They host it kind of close to where Laguna Seca is. It's the Nicholas Club Monterey Golf Course.
Oh, right.
So it's one of those golf courses that's closer to Laguna Seca, not necessarily the coastline.
Mm-hmm.
And so they would host Legends of the Autobahn. It'd be Audis, Mercedes, and BMWs. And, they worked in conjunction with BMW CCA, the Car Club of America, and stuff like that. And I remember, I got my membership in 2018, and, I had just finished putting on the livery on the E36, and it was this big, first time going to Monterey Car Week, going to a show, putting the car in a show, I wasn't trying to win anything, but you want to feel special when you go to Car Week. And
sure, yeah.
I remember that first year experience of being able to drive the car out onto the golf course, and you get to park it on the grass. And, it was just such a cool experience. And another piece of it is that I went with a group of friends, and all of us are BMW people, and how much fun that was to hang out with everyone and walk around and experience it. And then, of course, cruising around Monterey after that. And then in 2019, I went to that same event. Radwood actually worked in conjunction with Legends of the Autobahn, so they had a Radwood section.
Nice.
So I fit more in with the Radwood crowd of being a little bit weirder. I'm definitely not the BMW guy that's everything's factory and perfect, and I have all the original window stickers. I like a little more style. And so the Radwood crew was a little bit more in tune with that, which was really, really cool that they were a part of that, and I got to show the car once more.
And what's unfortunate is what's shifted from that sort of quirky, deep into this specialty area group of people has now turned into Tartufo buckets.
Tartufo buckets. Well, yeah, everyone's now walking around. And it's the Porsche crowd, too, where everyone's walking around being oh, damn, this is this spec? You had these options? Or you didn't have those options? That's so rare that you didn't select those boxes or
yeah, and I've gone full circle on this too, right? In 2015, I went to the Porsche Works reunion, which was just the Porsche Club show. And it happened to be the fact that I had, I guess, one of the 3 first new Cayman GT4s that came into California.
Ooh.
And one of the other ones was the one that Porsche brought for their display. So it was just one other guy and me bringing our shiny new, not 911s to the Porsche show. But at the time, there was a lot of, bubbling up about this car. People were excited about it. The Cayman was always the redheaded stepchild. But now they made a GT version. Right. And everybody was excited about that. So I managed to somehow put a deposit down for one, ancient times ago, long ago, and got the allocation, got the car, and it happened to come in pretty early. So it was really exciting. Just like you said, drive up on the golf course, park my car. I was next to, I remember there was a classic 993 I parked next to that had, in the front, it was open. It had a Macintosh amplifier and stereo head end set up.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Super high-end stereo in this car. And really neat stuff. And again, not jaded yet, just enjoyed the revelry, the fact that there was this mix of enthusiasts doing their thing, cars that Porsche brought that were special, that were unusual, unique. I remember they had the 911 GT1 there with the mobile livery on it.
That's super cool.
So lit up about that, and just some super cool cars that literally to this day, this is in 2015, so 11 years ago, I remember the time I saw this specific car. I can tell you where it was on the lawn. It just sunk into my brain in such a deep way, and it's just, that's one of those things about that experience that when you go, it forms these memories in a way that they're hard to compare to other things, but it's the kind of experience that your first couple of times, your first few experiences through, when you're new to something, you see something through fresh eyes, it changes over time, right? And
100%.
I know a lot of it is that too. One of the other things I saw at that same exact event that changed my attitudes as sort of a car person, they had a concours at the Works reunion where there were cars that entered, and I met a mechanic I knew. I'm like, you entered your car? What'd you do that for? He's like, no, I just did it for the better parking. It's kind of funny. You can enter the event and you get on the green versus being all the way a mile away. So he entered his car. He literally put it in the event and then left it locked so they couldn't judge it. But that's where he parked the car. That was pretty good.
Funny.
So that's a trick for you. But there was a guy there getting his car ready for the concours, and I have to tell you this exactly in detail because it just bothered me so much. People are cleaning out their cars or polishing their cars, getting ready to be judged. So, yeah, I get that. That's not my scene, but that's what people do. This guy had a lint roller, and he had his glove box open, and he was lint rolling out the inside of his glove box.
Oh, my God.
At this point, it sort of hit me. I never want to be that guy. I never want to be what that represents. I never want to think that way or think that that's a good idea or a good use of my time and energy. That represents a difference to me in car enthusiasm. Now, there's probably people like that who would say, I'm not a real devotee because I don't lint roll out my glove box or whatever. But that just bothered me so much. I'm like, that's not enjoying cars. That's taking it to this extreme where you've objectified, you've fetishized a car to a thing that you have to polish into this fine shine. Do you drive it?
Right. And I think that like that's also a major difference of car enthusiasts that love to go to car shows. Because there is a piece of like going to a car show and being judged to win a trophy of how nice your car is.
You're proud of it.
And like to an extent, I kind of don't get it. Like, and I've entered car shows, so I can't be too much of a hypocrite, but like I've never entered a car show for someone to judge how clean or original my car is. Like I've entered car shows where it's like, you know, modifying it or like doing something fun and different and tasteful and, you know, like more so that sort of stuff. And I agree with you. And maybe that's why like my second year when I went to the Legends of the Autobahn, I was like, I wasn't gonna go until I figured out that Radwood was doing their section. And Radwood loves everything that is fun and funky about 1980s and 1990s cars. And I love that about them. And they don't take it seriously in the regards of like the concourse and whatever. And even Legends of the Autobahn as an event, there is that section where people are being judged of how original their Mercedes, Audi, or BMW is. And like I can never, once again, get behind that of like, what's the point of this like low mileage, pristine example if you're not driving it and enjoying it? Like these cars were built to be driven. And so yeah, I agree with you that there is that massive separation between the two. But going off the comment that you said about going in 2015 to this Porsche event, and same thing that I experienced, and so my question is like, why is it so satisfying to drive your car onto a golf course? Because there's something about it of like driving a car onto a piece of grass that it's not supposed to be originally on that is like so fulfilling and such an amazing experience. And I don't know why, but like it's honestly worth to sign up for these events that are at golf courses and pay the extra $20, $50, whatever it is, to just drive your car onto the golf course. It's so cool.
Maybe because it's this grass that's been manicured for this activity, playing golf that's reserved for people who could afford it, and it's all like cordoned off from everybody else, and it's like, oh, move over, we're going to go drive on your stuff. You know, and it's smooth, right? So it's not like parking in some grass lot where, you know, you rut it out and you're
maybe it's all dusty.
Yeah, you're going to start a grass fire or something there, right? No, this is all like manicured and it's all nice.
And it just looks so pretty. Yeah, it's just like there's something about it that is like so satisfying.
Yeah.
And I remember both years of like, that was probably my favorite part was like loading on and then loading off. And I remember the second year, the way that they had the Radwood cars get onto the grass of where they were located, you had to drive your car on like the golf cart path.
Oh,
and it was so stressful though, because the cart path is only so wide.
Yes.
And there's curbs on either side. And so you're thinking to yourself like, God, don't let me curb my wheels like 5 minutes before it's going to be in a place where hundreds of people are going to look at it.
Oh my gosh.
But still just a fun experience. And like, especially if you can do it with friends and like you're hanging out waiting to get loaded in, you got the windows down, tunes playing, like that's like the fun part of Monterey Car Week is like these vibes that you get to enjoy with your friends and like hanging out with cars in really picturesque places. Like there's not many things that are better than that.
There's something in here. Like there's taking it seriously, but not too seriously, and having fun, but not fun at the expense of, you know, good stuff, right? And if you're into specific marques, right, there are events for Porsche and Ferrari and German marques and so forth, and they do JDM events. They've done this thing now for the last couple of years they call the Concours de Lemons.
Oh, yes. One of my favorites, which I need to visit. I've never been to one.
Oh, man.
But I've heard about it.
Yeah. It just, as you might imagine, cars that have competed in or would be eligible for the 24 Hours of Lemons, stylized in the way like we care about these special, careful cars the way we do with the Pebble Beach Concours car. So it's really kind of fun. Nobody takes it too seriously. It's a good time.
Right. And because that's the deal is like Monterey Car Week for the longest time, like Concours d'Elegance, like these are the best cars in the world, like restorations, preservation, all that sort of stuff.
It can be pretty snooty.
Right. And I think a lot of Monterey Car Week still kind of is that. Like I said, like Radwood being at Legends of the Autobahn was like the first kind of turning point of like, all right, they're adding some flavor to Car Week. And Same deal with Lemons, the guys at the 24 Hours Lemons putting on the Concourse de Lemons.
Yeah.
Just having a little bit of humor, right? Of like, there is so much seriousness. There is so much of like, hey, look at how nice my car is, how great of a condition it is, how much money I spent on it.
Yeah.
And they're hosting an event that is prioritizing people with humor, people with a little bit of character,
right.
with having fun with cars. And I think that is such a great addition. And I think that is one of like the events that would make me want to go back to Car Week just to go to that. Like, I think that's one of those ones that's on my list to be like, yeah, I want to check that one out.
It's kind of fun to go high and go low too, like to aim for the events that are fancy and, kind of go in them where you're tongue in cheek and kind of knowing what's going on. And then going into the ones that are totally not set up that way. With the auctions, we would do this. So there's like Bonhams and Sotheby's, these are the fancy high-end auctions. And then there's like Mecum. And you go to the Mecum auctions and it's like, that's the stuff you see on TV and that's where all the American muscle is and come on, let's go. That's way more fun environment. Now, you see some amazing things at the Bonhams and Sotheby's auctions. Don't get me wrong. Don't miss those. But you're going to have way more fun at the Mecum auction every single time.
Oh, for sure. And I think the Mecum auction, like there's an insane amount of cars that are there.
Crazy.
I remember going to the Mecum auction and it was like free admission and it was like worthwhile just to park and like walk through the parking lot, which the parking lots in all these places are like crazy because everyone's doing the same thing you're doing.
Right.
But then just walking through like all the cars that were available, of that year for the Mecum auction was such a cool experience.
Yeah.
But I would say like most of the events that I went to, like being younger and going to Car Week was like, the affordable stuff. Like I think I went to like one major event and then everything else after that was like the free ones that you can kind of cruise around to. But I mean, there's like the major one that everyone talks about, which is the Quail. And I know that you visited and have gone to the Quail a couple times. So I have to ask you the question of like, what is the Quail like on the other side of the fence?
Yeah, the Quail's pretty fancy, I gotta say. So it happens at the Quail Lodge, which is a golf course, which to give you some idea, one year I got the extra fancy ticket allowed me to go into the clubhouse itself.
Ooh.
So not just, the event outside, but into the place where they allow their members. And I was with a friend and we were looking for the bathroom and it wasn't obvious where to go. And we wandered down this hallway and okay, to be fair, it looked like maybe we weren't 100% supposed to be down this hallway. But I did see a sign that says like men's locker room. So I'm like, I got to take a leak. Let's go. So we wander into this place and walk into the bathroom and it's like wood paneling everywhere. I'm like, oh, this is fancy. And it's like carpeted and stuff. I'm like, this is the locker room? Oh, man. And I look to my left and there's a bank of lockers and the names on all the lockers I recognized. And again, I am not a golf guy, but I know who Arnold Palmer is.
Oh, no
I know
way.
who Sam Snead is. I know who Jack Nicklaus is. I know who Tiger Woods is. These were the lockers on the wall in this place.
Man.
So this is like a heavy hitter for golf place. Kind of fun. That gives you a vibe of it. Out in the patio area of the membership clubhouse, where we're having our fancier lunch, like they serve food all around the Quail. And it's kind of funny to see all the relatively wealthy people fighting each other for the free food, and like they come around with the shrimp and people act like there's never been shrimp before.
Oh, that is so funny.
Right. And like, so there's that. And then there's a caviar, and it's not like the high end stuff, but I mean, it's expensive. I don't want to make like, but like people are like standing in line, like gobbling handfuls. I mean, it's just like the most repulsive behavior you could imagine. Now you come over to the clubhouse where like the actual members are allowed.
Right.
And they have like the cracked crab and all the fancy stuff presented in this very, kind of nice and more chill kind of way. I'm sitting out on the patio with my friend and we're eating our food and just kind of watching people go by. And my friend's like, hey, over there. I'm like, what? He's like, look. And I see this older guy wearing like the Rolex hat. Everybody's wearing the hat. And I'm like, oh, that looks so familiar. So I take a selfie with him in my background. So like he's basically photobombing me. And at the moment I took the picture, I guess he realized what was going on. So he's like looking right at the camera. And then I go back after the fact and I take a look at this picture and I zoom in and it's Gordon Murray.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, just like walking through like you do. And I realized, I looked totally like him and I just didn't recognize him in the moment, but I took the picture. I'm like, I know that's somebody. I went back, I'm like, that's pretty freaking cool.
See, and that's like the cool thing about Monterey Car Week is like how many people you cross paths with, right? And like for the younger crowd nowadays, you go there and you're like, oh my God, there's my favorite YouTuber. But like for the people that are like there for maybe more solid reasons, it's like you get to run across like these designers and these people that have been creating these phenomenal cars that you've idolized since your childhood of like, the Gordon Murrays, the Von Koenigsegg's of the world.
Yeah.
You know, like there's so many of these big, powerful players that are there and they're present and they're like, you know, they're trying to sell cars. Like that's the objective of why they're there. But it's cool to be able to like rub shoulders with them and like be in a place where you could spark up a conversation if you were brave enough.
Yeah, and it's interesting just to observe the dynamic. Like, forget whether or not you're actually realistically in the market for any of these cars, but you go chat up the guy at the Zinger booth or the Hennessy booth or the Koenigsegg booth, and you're like, oh yeah, you know, maybe I'll add one of these to my collection. What can you tell me about this fine car, sir? You know, and you kind of play along, and everybody there is kind of doing the same posing thing, right? I think
for sure.
There's only like a thin stratum of these people who actually own these vehicles, right? Everybody else is there kind of gawking at them because once you own all this stuff, why do you need to pay somebody else money to go to an event full of them, right? I mean, unless you're just that much of an enthusiast.
Right, 100%. I think that like that is kind of the fun duality of what the Quail is as an event of like the people that go kind of, I think there's a decent percentage of the people that go to say that they've gone, right?
Yes.
And maybe those are the same people that are like swarming the shrimp tray because they're like, I got to get my money's worth for what this ticket was because like the tickets are not cheap, but it's free drink, free food. So you're like, all right, if I hang out here X amount of hours and I consume this many glasses of champagne and this many spoonfuls of caviar, maybe I'll break even.
And I really don't want to be down on it because this includes some of my friends, right? But then there's this whole scene of people like, oh, can you get me Quail tickets? I need some Quail tickets. Anybody got Quail tickets? I need Quail tickets. And it's this like begging, borrowing, just trying to crash the party vibe that makes the proper thing feel a little gross. You know, like, oh, we could all just enjoy this. But then there's like the people who really like found their way in one way or the other, and they're not behaving the same way everybody else has sort of agreed implicitly to be.
Well, I feel like you can make like the direct comparison of like the people that are hungry and trying to find Quail tickets are kind of maybe the same as like the last minute people trying to find Coachella tickets.
There's
to be like,
that.
oh, I want to beat it. I want to go to Coachella to take a photo at Coachella to say I was at Coachella.
Yeah.
Versus the people that are like, the locals are like, I bought my tickets a year ago because it's like, this is something I love doing and this is something that I really enjoy. And there's the duality of that in any passion, right? It's not just car culture or music or anything else. Like, there's the people that want to be there to be seen, and there's the people that want to be there because they're like, this is my favorite thing ever.
Yeah. And, you know, not to be down on whatever your particular disposition is about it. You know, if you like to just go take a picture of yourself in front of a car, be my guest, go do it. But, you know, maybe clear a path for the rest of the enthusiasts who really want to take a look at that special car that you're sitting on, and we'd rather you didn't.
Which, like, the other, like, crazy dynamic for Monterey Car Week 2, which you kind of alluded to previously, but is one of those things where, like, if there was one thing that I could get my list on or get myself on the list, would be like the crazy house parties that happen. I know that that's a whole different demographic of people, but like the whole concept of a manufacturer renting out a massive mansion in Pebble Beach on 17 Mile Drive to throw a huge party, that's just something I want to see, right? Like that's just one of those things you drive by, you look over and you're like, man, that's really cool. And like to maybe check it out once. And I'm sure like once you see it once, you're going to be like, all right, I never need to do that again.
Yeah, it's one of those things. So, like, I did this, right? I got invited to the Gunther Works party.
That's pretty cool.
And I'm like, all right, I want to see what this is about. Why not? So we go to it, and there's like a shuttle up to this house and all this kind of stuff. They don't want to give away the address or whatever. I understand privacy. It was a little gross, I got to say. I mean, like, the party was beautiful. The people were nice. But the vibe of the people there, it was like everybody trying to date the pretty girl in the room.
Interesting.
And the pretty girl in the room was the guy who made decisions on who get cars.
Oh, so everyone's trying to get on the list.
So everybody in there is acting like they're trying to get on the list. Because, let's face it, if you were just going to buy the car, you'd pull the guy aside and go, how much is a deposit? Where do I send it?
Right.
But instead, it's this like politicking, partying, socializing. Who do you know? Oh, can we get you on the list? I don't know. It's a feigned, not that much access thing because there's only so many slots. But the reality is they haven't filled those slots. Otherwise, they wouldn't be having a damn party.
Valid
so
point.
There's this weird dance going on between the people trying to court those whom they're trying to attract to get them to offer to buy a car from that company, and the people who are there who are salespeople who know full well what's going on but are there trying to sell cars.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a weird dynamic. And again, jaded, having had the opportunity to participate in this and a few other ones we don't have to name, but it's a little bit of a weird scene. Like the part of me that's anti-authoritarian and doesn't want to see people with billions of dollars running around, like I hate that stuff. I feel like that's the worst exaggeration of what car culture should be. Really, it's the Monterey Motorsports reunion that represents to me what I feel like they should all be. It's people using cars for what they were designed to use for, waxing nostalgic about the cars they remember from when they were a kid, seeing them dice it up, seeing something new and usual that's going to be different every year.
See, I was just about to make that transition of like the first couple years that I went to Monterey Car Week, I kind of did like the standard cliche operation, right? You go in, you go to a show, you drive around, you do 17-mile drive, you go to Mecum auction, you check out some stuff. Like you do the typical, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until last year in 2025 that the two of us went to the Monterey Historics reunion, the races that go on at Laguna Seca during Car Week. And this was always an event that was like on my radar screen. I was like, this would be so cool to go to just because, you know, since 2018, getting so much more involved in motorsports and racing and stuff like that and developing this appreciation for some of these older race cars and the history and everything behind them. And you're totally right. Going there, going to that event, the vibe is so different, right? No one cares about the multi-million-dollar Bugatti sitting in the paddock, right? I remember we were walking around and there was like some crazy cars that people anywhere else in Monterey during that week would be gawking over, taking photos over, whatever. And people are brushing by them to stare at whatever that race car was that was sitting next to it, whether that was like, you know, an old 80s prototype or this Porsche that raced during this generation or whatever. And it's like, all right, these are the people that I can hang out with because these people are here to see and appreciate the history of automobiles when they raced in their prime, and then also getting to see them back on track, back in action, and totally different vibe. It almost felt last year like a palate cleanser to Monterey Car Week because everything felt like it was getting so out of control with everyone being so hungry to look at the next multi-whatever million-dollar car, and then you go to the Motorsport reunion, you're like, oh, this is just like all the coolest stuff you've ever wanted to see being shipped from all over the world. Like these race cars are coming from other countries for this event. And that's what's so cool about it is being able to see not a 1 of 5, not a 1 of 100, but the 1 of 1. That car that got to race in that period.
And 95% of the ones that are there are getting raced. They're not static displays. They're not there just to kind of show off somebody's collection. They're out there. The people who own them are racing in the vintage races. You know, this is that event they call the Rolex, right? And so that's another thing I think puts some people off. You're like, that sounds like a fancy thing to start. What even is that?
Right.
It's the vintage races, historic races. They call it the Motorsports Reunion. It happens every year. It's a lot of the same people coming back together. That's why they call these events reunions, right? Because people are enthusiasts. They want to come back and do it again and again. And the racing is different every year, even if you see your same friends and it's even some of the same cars. But, you know, we'll stress some other brand or we'll have something be the highlight mark this year. This year's going to be JDM cars.
Yeah, that's what I think is so cool is like they have a revolving marquee.
Right.
And if it's a manufacturer celebrating some sort of anniversary or whatever it is, they'll make sure that that manufacturer gets to be the highlight. But yeah, this year it's just JDM. It's not even a specific brand. It's just Japanese race cars, which is such a cool thing.
And even better than that, they kind of listened to their fans. And last year, IROC was such a hit, they brought IROC back too. Now, that was the special mark, and now it's the thing, and they're like, we're doing it again anyway. Who cares? Come on, add JDM. Let's go.
Yeah, and I think like from last year, like that was probably some of my favorite times of being down in Monterey during Car Week and, you know, just being able to see those race cars and all that sort of stuff and all the fun fanfare that's going on at Laguna Seca, I think was worthwhile. Like that is definitely one of those events. Like if you're thinking about going to Monterey Car Week, maybe you're not super into like the super high-end supercars, hypercars. You're not into that whole scene. This is a good alternative, right? Different sort of vibe, different group of people, but still like a really massive, significant coming together of some pretty serious cars.
And oh, by the way, you will by happenstance come across a ton of major hitters, impressive cars just in the parking lot at the Motorsports Reunion. Because the people who go to that are car enthusiasts themselves, and they're going to drive something interesting on their way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, to close things off, is there any other stories you wanted to share from your years going to Monterey Car Week? Anything else that kind of comes to mind?
Man, there's been so many times. I remember Flying Husky Racing used to put on a track day during the week lead up to Car Week every year. So we'd have people come and, we were operating out of Washington for a while. We'd come down to Sonoma Raceway. People were going to come to Car Week. We'd have a day on track. And that was always really exciting as a way to feel like you got to participate. One of the things that I think is frustrating, if anything, about Car Week is you go, you look at all these cars, you watch people race. You're like, I want to be out there. Where's the track day? Where's the event for me, the parade laps, the whatever? Although there was the corkscrew hill climb this year, and could have been on there further. But, that to me is part of the experience that I think about. And when I think about Monterey Car Week, it's the lead up to that. A lot of people, they'll go on car trips, rallies, group drives. They're getting together with friends. They're seeing people they haven't seen for a year maybe or longer. I like to skip a year. Like this year, okay, I'm going just for a quick dip in and dip out.
Right.
If you go every other year, there's more differences. Certain things don't change all that much year over year, and you see a lot of the same cars. So taking a little time off and then coming back is a good way to do it. The Motorsports Reunion's a great way. There's some of the not official things that they're shutting down too. Like there used to be car meets that would pop up in the Embassy Suites hotel parking lot or near the In-N-Out, and they're cracking down on all that stuff. And it's because the effect of influencers and people who aren't behaving the way they want people to behave, whether that's right or not, is starting to get on their nerves. And if we want this thing to continue to exist, we better be a little better about it as a collective about it. So I'm hopeful, I want this to continue to go for another 75 years. It'll be different, and we'll take away from it what we can, and we'll never go into it with fresh eyes. But if you've never been to it before, it's an experience worth checking out. Just do your research before you go and try to make your plans a bit in advance because accommodations are really hard to get last minute and they're crazy expensive.
Yeah, and I think that's why we have such a strong opinion on where Car Week has gone is how fond our memories are of our first time going and what it was back then, right? And so I think it was the combination of, once again, like being so excited going for your first time. It's going to be phenomenal. But for people that have never gone and they want to go, whether that's this year or in the coming years, for there to be so many restrictions and like you're not able to do this anymore, and like for us remembering back of like, oh yeah, I remember the first time being on 17 Mile Drive and seeing all these cars, and it's like for some people that's not going to be the possibility in the future because of these restrictions. I think that's why we're so upset of like how special those memories are to us and how special Monterey Car Week is. And seeing some of those things being taken away for those who have never gotten to experience them, that sucks, right? Like you feel that.
It's that feeling if you're into something that's not that popular, not that recognized, sort of underrepresented, and then everybody finds it and it's popular. And for a little while, it's cool because that thing that you always liked is now super accessible.
Right.
But then there's this change that occurs, right? And we see that time and time again with different aspects of culture, and maybe that's part of the dynamic play here too. And so, we'll do our thing. Maybe we'll take a year off. Maybe the 2028 Monterey Car Week year is going to be the one to check out. Who knows what they'll bring back there? But it's always an exciting lineup. And if you're into cars, put yourself in the place where cars are. It doesn't have to be Monterey Car Week. There are meets all over the place. There are other events like this that happen in other places too. We don't have to like build up the one thing to be the end all be all. Go to Amelia Island, go to Greenwich, go to other places. They all want your money and business too.
Very, very true. So Monterey Car Week Mania. We'll see what 2026 brings in regards to the headlines, and hopefully we'll see you guys there in 2027.
Hopefully fewer of the Monterey Car Week maniacs.
Well, thanks, Todd.
Thanks, Sylas.
And thanks for listening. This has been Cold Start.